I probably shouldn't be surprised by the Cavs being 12-0, but I think that one would be my most surprising one.
Yeah. No, I think that is the most surprising. I think we all thought the Cavs would be good. I picked Kenny Atkinson as my preseason coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And thought, okay, maybe he'll unlock some things, very offensive-minded guy, and sometimes you just need a different approach, all that stuff. But 12-0?
Yeah.
Best record in the league by far. Now, this is not to throw cold water on it at all, because 12-0 is 12-0 regardless. They have had a bit of a soft schedule if you look at the strength of schedule stuff. The only teams that they've beaten that are over 500 as of right now are the Lakers and the Warriors, and they smoked the Warriors. They've beaten the Knicks and the Magic and the Bucks, who are all supposed to be good teams that aren't right now, or just struggling to varying degrees. They're at Philly tomorrow, the Cavaliers. And Embiid will not play on the second night of the back-to-back, so I'm not sure how much of a test it is, but that one's interesting. And then next Tuesday, a week from today, I believe another NBA Cup night, Cavs at Boston. So that's one to circle, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, it's not that I'm not sold. The talent was always there. I was skeptical by all of the redundancies and fit issues, but Garland has taken a leap. He looks really good. Mobley's kind of taken a leap. They're getting great stuff out of the bench. A bunch of mostly like no names, like Ty Jerome is suddenly like a really important player, and it's really impressive. Cavaliers have the number one offense in terms of efficiency right now. They're number 9 in defensive efficiency, and they are third in net rating at plus 11.4 per 100.
That's elite, man. That's elite.
That's elite.
Yeah. Yeah, that's elite. And as far as the schedule goes, I just would say, how many teams are elite? Like when you're saying, well, we haven't really played anyone yet. How many teams out there are elite? Like you mentioned Boston, right?
Right.
So if we're going to put ourselves in that in those games where like those are going to be big tests for us, but we're rolling everyone else, so be it. We're still elite.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? So like
part of being elite is crushing bad teams.
That's right.
Consistently, right?
That's right. So like that's pretty cool. And again, I thought they would be good. Kudos to you for the Kenny Atkinson call, but like I didn't see them coming out of the gates like that. Even great teams will stumble, once in a blue moon against a bad team out of the gate.
Yeah. No, it's really impressive. I hate getting ahead of ourselves to do the okay, yeah, but are they good enough to beat the Celtics and best of 7 series in the spring? But that's where this is going to lead, right? Like if they sustain this, and certainly when they meet up a week from tonight, that's what we're going to be thinking about. Are the Cavs the biggest threat to the defending champions in Boston? That's the first big talking point, I think, of the season when it comes to looking ahead to the championship. Because the other teams that were supposed to be in that conversation, Knicks, Sixers, Bucks, are all kind of dragging.
Yeah, man.
So, I'm going to correct myself. The Cavs are the most surprising in a way, but really I think it's almost the Nets that are the most surprising. It's a really nondescript lineup. Ben Simmons is playing pretty well. Reviving his career after a couple of really rough years. Let's see if he can get through the whole season healthy. Let's hope he does. Cam Thomas, as I mentioned, is just the guy's just a scoring machine. He's
a scoring machine, man.
Bill Simmons. It's funny. Bill Simmons, like me, has been a skeptic of Cam, but Bill Simmons, unlike me, has now left. He's like off of the criticism.
He jumped ship.
Yeah, I want to say it's not Cam Thomas Island because it's the opposite of Cam Thomas Island. I guess I'm still on the island where we are skeptical of Cam Thomas, and I don't know. Maybe it's a boat instead of a ship. Bill's basically on board now.
He's an interesting one, man, because like Steve, when Nash was still there, I had a lot of conversations with him about Cam, and I don't think they actually saw eye to eye on how he would fit into the NBA and Brooklyn as a whole. And what I'd say to that is like, Steve didn't necessarily have to be all the way wrong in terms of what he could have been had he accepted, the challenges of doing other things on the court. But kudos to the kid for saying, man, fuck it, I am what I am. And I can do it on this level at a high level. And so, hey.
And by the way, it wasn't just Steve. Like, Jacques Vaughn and Cam Thomas also had like every coach in Brooklyn so far has had the same thing, which is like, Cam is an incredible scorer. He's a tough shot maker. He can get his shot off anywhere. Cam needs to do other things. He needs to pass. He needs to defend. He needs to be a little bit more judicious. It's all the same critiques.
Right.
And,
well, it's just Jordy. Jordy's a perfect kind of coach for that group. I spent some time with him in Cleveland, and he went down and he ran and he coached the G League team for a while. And he's got great energy and he's got a great feel, and he's the perfect kind of coach for that style of team. And Cam, quite frankly, is the perfect scoring kind of player for that kind of team. And I don't mean this in any, disrespectful way or trying to paint him in any light. But I talk about this all the time. There are a certain amount of points that got to get scored in NBA games. Like they're going to get scored. Shots have to be shot. Minutes have to be played. And there are guys that are professional scorers that are capable of stepping into those voids and putting up big numbers. The question becomes whether you can do that on the level of team that makes you a star or a superstar. And, that would be the question for Cam, Brooklyn, and just the recipe moving forward. Is this fun? And we can do this. Obviously, you can get buckets, or, a lot of times like a guy like that might wind up as he gets older and more established, like you're the sixth man on a really, really good team that comes in and just lights it up. Do you understand what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I'm not saying he's one or the other, but that's the question when you start saying, okay, well, we're 5-6 now. Let's project this, and say we're, I don't know, 22 and 18. And now we're starting to consider some things like, what does this look like moving forward? We have some decisions to make. And I don't have the answers for that.
So it leads me to this though, Raja. You've worked for teams, you've spent a lot of time in the league, and you know how we in general, right? NBA fans, NBA media, and also front offices talk about building, right? When you are in a rebuild, which the Nets absolutely are, you have to decide what the best way forward is, right? There's what's called the middle build, which is like, hey, we'll just be really competitive, and then guys will want to come here. And that's sort of what the Nets were under Kenny Atkinson, several years ago. And they overachieved year after year. They had to because they didn't have control of their own picks. And that made them competitive and attractive to Durant and Kyrie. We know how that went. But still, that was a successful version of the middle build, right? There's the teardown, which is what we thought the Nets were doing. But here they are. It's early, but they're a game under 500. 5-6. Cam Thomas playing his butt off. Ben Simmons revived. Nick Claxton, banged up a little bit to start, but again, looking pretty good. They've got a bunch of interesting pieces. And so put yourself in Sean Marks' shoes right now. It's the Cooper flag draft. You did get your pick back from the Rockets. You did all this maneuvering to get a bunch of picks. You traded Mikal Bridges. You swapped out some picks to get some of your picks back from Houston. You do have control over your draft now. It is in your benefit to be bad this time, unlike the last time that they were rebuilding. So what do you do? Like, should you be working the phones, like trying to offload Dennis Schroeder as soon as possible? Another guy who, by the way, has been playing really well for them. Like, you've got a bunch of interesting players that together collectively are probably not a playoff or play-in team ultimately, but I don't know, might be. The East is really weird right now. Do you hold on? Do you start selling off parts to ensure that you have a better pick in June?
Oh man, that's for me. I'm sell. I get the best chance I got at getting the guy I want to get. Where Sean Marks is, some of that would depend. It definitely depends on relationship, job security. What he's being told behind closed doors, X, Y, and Z. Like, when you're like Pat Riley with the Heat, they never do that, right? Like they're just content like scrapping it out and getting in as an 8-9 or in the play-in. Like they're never going to show that fan base down here or culturally subscribe to like, hey man, I'm going to not give us the best chance to win and just be competitive. So, I don't know if I'm on the sell. I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see what they do. What about you?
No, I think it's sell. I think to an extent, some of this is going to probably peter out on its own, right? You have a lot of teams that are just struggling early in the season, especially in the East. Those teams will start to get it together, and that will help balance this out. I mean, look, the East right now, Cavs 12-0, Celtics 9-2, and then the Pacers are in third at 5-5, and everybody from there on down is just somewhere in this big yucky middle where no one can quite get it together. And there's, injuries are playing a role here, right? Orlando's missing Banchero. And so I think some of this, Raja, may take care of itself where the Nets are probably overachieving and probably won't sustain this anyway. But I do think that there was clear alignment in the organization in the offseason, right? Joe Tsai, the owner, gave Sean Marks permission to sell off Mikal Bridges for a ton of draft picks. And they weren't good anyway, but that was the clear sign that they were okay with a rebuild as opposed to a middle build. And where they are right now, they're too good for their own good.
Yeah, well, that's my answer. That's my answer, and thank you for making it clear for me. Like, I should have known that myself. But yeah, once we've done that, like, that's the answer. Where Joe Tsai and Sean are. So yeah, it's a sell. Sorry.
Yeah,
and I'm not even risking us being too good for me to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish.